Hello to all you scary boxers.
That's what you decided to go with? Scary boxers?
Whoa, bro, that's scary boxes to you, pal.
I think the people who listen to us deserve at least a good name.
Okay, you guys, this is my show, goddammit. We're gonna call it Scary Boxers, okay?
Alrighty, hello out there to all you boxers. I'm John Parolski, the skeptic.
And I'm Nathaniel Martin, resident writer and producer.
And my name is Nicholas Alexander, and welcome to the Scary Box Podcast.
What do you got for us this week? We leave Ohio finally?
Okay, listen here, Parolski. We will get back to Ohio soon, but don't get your panties in a bunch. Come on.
Yeah, you got 2 Ohio boys and a Florida man on this show. You know we are going to have some wild episodes down the line.
You're damn right there, Nate. And to kick off this cool and creepy episode, I wanted to just jump right in. Ready? Aliens.
Oh, wonderful.
That's right, kids. This week we are exploring the mysterious case of the Moonshaft.
Nice.
Yeah. We will be going back to the 1940s to explore the lost cavern that leads to the Moonshaft.
The show to keep you up at night. Or something similarly cheesy.
At the heat of the European tensions during the Second World War, we find today's protagonist, a minor-turned-military commander, Anton Horak, who fought for his country's small resistance push against the Nazi powers who occupied Czechoslovakia. A bulk of the research for today's episode comes directly from the diary entries of Horak. So it is up to you, our audience, to determine if we are all witness to one of the biggest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century, or if we are simply taking the diary entries of a madman at face value. You have anything to add there, Parolski, since I know you're a big old Ozzy Osbourne fan?
Well, I did, but you fucking ruined it when you butchered the line. I was like, oh, he's not gonna go with it, and then the joke left.
Boo.
Look at this diary!
Every entry makes you laugh.
Today's story opens up on Saturday, October 21st, 1944. It was a cold, bloody day for the people of Czechoslovakia. A small resistance army had attempted to overtake the desperate and power-hungry Nazi forces who, due to recent losses to the victories of Allied powers, began to make their presence more known to small villages throughout the Czech mountain ranges.
I'm just laughing that you guys didn't spell Czech right the whole time!
Hey, the audience can't read it. They don't know. We're saying it right.
They don't know this is scripted. This is all coming off the top of your head, Nick.
Exactly.
You're like MLK during that one speech.
I don't know about that, but anyway.
Right.
A few evenings before, a miniature Kristallnacht had occurred in the several Tatra mountain villages on the border of Slovakia and Poland. The homes and possessions were raided by retreating Nazi forces, looking to make their presence known in these border town strongholds. In response to this, a small group of roughly 180 Czechoslovakian resistance fighters were held in a trench against a German army and their higher-powered machine guns. A brave young soldier, who had been giving commands of falling back, Anton Horak, provided cover fire for the other soldiers. To the left and right of him was a wounded Yurik, who had a gunshot to the leg, and a fatally wounded Martin, who was stabbed in the stomach and bleeding from a shot as well. As he was reloading another round into his rifle, Horak was struck in the head with a weapon and knocked unconscious. These 3 injured defenders would wind up being the only survivors of the skirmish against the Wehrmacht.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I wasn't gonna make any Nazi jokes. This seems pretty important.
Horak would be the first to awake the next day to Slavek, a local sheep herder. As Yurik and Martin somewhat came to their senses, Slavek offered the men some shelter to hide from Germans, who may be coming back around to finish what they started the day before.
This is like a Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Horak.
Like, there's no conspiracy to this so far, you know? Like, this is all believable so far, Nick. I'm proud of you for finding this.
Hell yeah, hold on your socks, it gets more intense later.
It gets way more believable later.
That's always promising.
Slavik, being the good Samaritan that he was, brought the damaged defenders to a cave that he believed was haunted. While remote and in the nearby mountains, it was secluded and safe, as Slavik claimed not too many others knew about it. Would you rather go to a haunted cave to be safe, or would you just risk it? You just be like, you know what, they come back, but I don't want to go to a haunted cave. What do you think?
If I were in World War II, I wouldn't think that a haunted cave was my biggest worry. If it were you and I, right, and it's like the whole Snoopy situation, we're being flanked by Nazis, I'd be like, Nick, you see that cave over there? I think we should hide for cover. And you'd be like, John, I think there's ghosts. There might be ghosts in there.
The specific mountain range actually had some folklore surrounding it. Children of the nearby village had nicknamed the peak of the range Karushta Nika Hora, or Witch Mountain, due to the strange noises that echoed down the mountain.
You know what I got from this?
Witch Mountain? Are you also thinking of Race to Witch Mountain starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? This could actually be the prequel to Race to Witch Mountain.
I was thinking these kids are morons. Why would they call it Witch Mountain? They didn't even see any witches or anything.
A more historic ghost story about the Tatra mountain range dates back hundreds of years to the earliest settlers of the area that claimed within the complex tunnel systems of the mountains rested an army of warrior ghosts. This Tolkien-esque story claims that a young army of strapping, strong, and invisible soldiers protected the population of the region from invaders and foreign armies. Whether it be these hunting ghost stories or a few of Slavik's own encounters with the supernatural, he left Horak, Yurik, and Martin with a prayer of protection. He also noted Horak's pickaxe and warned him not to explore the depths of the cave, as the tunnel system had lots of deep pits, dangerous gases, and falling rocks, and it was deemed extremely dangerous.
A Horax pickaxe sounds like something that you can get on Minecraft.
It's the DLC Horak's pickaxe.
When you mine things with it, they become all shiny and green.
After the squad, Horak, Yurik, and Martin had a yummy soup dinner of Slavik's leftover water brought to a warm temperature and some cheap slivovitz, an alcohol spirit made from plums. But Parolski, imagine if you're just super hungry though, and Slavik, this herdsman, you're just wanting food. He's like, "Hey guys, how about some leftover water? Just warm water. Here's your food for the evening. Just warm water."
I like that the choices are alcohol and water. There's no... I mean, at least they're not drinking urine.
Hey, pros and cons, I guess, The more injured members of the party, Yurik, who was still in rough shape, and Martin, whose body was starting to shut down from still bleeding from his stomach wound. Horak, however, channeled his profession and began exploring the cave, and equipped with a small pickaxe, a couple makeshift torches, and a rifle.
Bro, is this what inspired Minecraft? The Diaries of Horak Sylvester, or whatever his name is? What's Horak's last name?
Horak. I thought Horak is the last name.
Horak's last name is Antonin. Horak's his first name. At least it was. Then when he came to America, he switched his name to Tony Horak, because Horak sounds more like a traditional American last name.
Hey, Tony, you want to go sleeping in the Moonshaft, Tony? I know he's Czech, but
Czech, Sicilian, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
They were all attacked by the Nazis at some point.
Horak's main objective was to find a hibernating animal. He hoped a little more sustenance would be enough to bring Martin back into full consciousness. Plus, it had been a whole weekend since he and Yurik had anything to eat.
Wait, so he thought that capturing a frickin' bear and just killing it would magically give Martin, I almost said Nate Martin, would magically just bring Martin's health to full?
I mean, it'll probably help at least.
Do you think that if they found a potion in the cave, they would have drank it and gotten full shield too?
If they found a potion, the plot twist, it's like the potion from Shrek 2.
Wait, are you talking about the love potion?
They just all start loving each other. I love you, Martin. I love you, Yurik.
I'm gonna put my moonshaft in your wound.
Unfortunately, after a 90-minute hunt, Horak didn't find any food or hibernating animals.
Ah, damn. Well, I guess Martin's gonna die.
Call it, boys. This is the end.
He just gives up and leaves them. He's like, all right, I'm sick of taking care of these two bastards.
You're on your own, boys. Everyone for himself.
There's a reason we aren't reading the Uric or Martin diary.
Now, to what Horak did find, the cave system wasn't nearly as difficult to navigate, nor nearly as treacherous as Slavic had previously indicated. He reached a gorge and dropped a piece of limestone down the pit. He gauged the pit wasn't more than 7 or 8 feet deep and could climb it out with some rope.
Bro, this is literally Minecraft. He got some limestone, he threw it down the pit, and then he counted that, okay, 7 or 8 blocks down, I could climb out if I just had enough rope on me. So he had to figure out if he had enough stacks of rope so that he could be able to build the rope up and climb out of the cave.
But he highly doubted Slavic would be bringing any rope the next day. On the topic of Slavic, he returned the following afternoon with some bandages, aspirin, which did very little to help the critical condition of Martin, and even less to ease the hunger of Uric. But in a means to lift the gang's spirits, Slavic brought his eldest daughter, Hannah.
Wait, what? Hold on. Slavic brought...
Yeah, Slavic brought his eldest daughter, Hannah.
Why would he do that?
Hey, he wanted to lift the spirits. He could lift their spirits.
I don't like this.
Come on, buddy, keep up.
He wanted to lift their spirits.
I'm so confused.
Horak wasn't as amused by Slavic's daughter as Uric was. Horak was fantasizing about getting into a different type of cave.
Oh, Jesus Christ. God almighty. How old is Hannah?
We don't know.
Why? We couldn't even be allowed to make that joke then.
It's his eldest daughter. Slavic's in his younger 40s. I think it's safe to assume she's in her early 20s.
It was a different time back then, Parolski, it's okay. Once Slavic and Hannah left, Horak explained he needed Uric and Martin's belts to make a trap to catch some bats so he can make the party some real soup for dinner that night. The miner then went back to doing what he did best, exploring the depths of a cave. Now adding a makeshift rope of the 3 men's belts to his inventory, he could go as far as he reached the night before and see what was at the bottom of the gorge. What Horak would find at the base of this cavern is something that would fascinate many for decades to come. A researcher we'll get to know later, Ted Phillips, devoted 38 years of his life trying to get to the bottom of the Moonshaft. But for Horak, it only took a few seconds to get to the physical base of the large crescent moon-shaped corridor, which was approximately 82 feet in diameter. He dubbed this room the Moonshaft.
Finally. It's about time. Roll credits.
I wonder if he had any other names besides the Moonshaft after you rolled down it.
Big dark hole.
He writes in his journal both Moonshaft and Moon Cave, and it's not really clear if those are 2 different things to him.
Mount Moon from Pokemon.
When he describes the actual experience of being in the cave itself, like within the room, the moon room, he calls that the Moonshaft.
So the cave leads to the shaft?
More or less.
He learned that the floor was very steep and covered in clay and limestone. He tried to illuminate the ceiling to gauge the height of the shaft, but got no luck. Horak also noticed that every little noise he made in the cave was loudly amplified.
Were there minions in the Moonshaft?
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Back at the camp, Martin was looking even worse. Terrible. And Uric was just chilling, I guess, and I don't know, probably waiting for Slavic and his hot daughter, Hannah, to come back. But due to some severe weather conditions, there was no visit from the sheep herder or his family.
Holy crap. Do you not think those Nazis that were after them would be, I don't know, moved away now? I'm sure they weren't just staying behind to try to kill these 3 extra jackasses, and apparently he could bring his daughter around there.
The only thing I question is this, if there were Germans still around, if I was a German, I feel like I would be a little, just questioning of why this herdsman is just going back and forth between this mountain range so many times.
I would have shot him. Would have been like, see that guy going back and forth? Bang!
Wow, you would have made a great Nazi.
I'm trying to get into the story.
So if you were in this story of all the characters so far, you choose one of the Nazis at the beginning who massacred 180 Slovakian soldiers trying to defend their homeland?
I wouldn't be starving. And I am Slovakian. I don't want to be something I already am in the story.
The next day, everyone hungry as ever, Horak went back to the shaft. One thing of humor to note was in order to enter the Moonshaft, after climbing down the drop that required the belts to get back out of, Horak had to strip down naked to shimmy through a small vent-like entrance. His thin layer of clothes were even too much for the 6-foot crawl.
Wait, so is he by himself at this point?
Yeah, no, like as he always went into the cave further and to get to the Moonshaft and stuff, he'd literally be alone. Like Yurik and Martin were just chilling near the entrance of the cave.
So this is like the scene from Incredibles when they're going to Syndrome's hideout and then they're all chilling. Then they're
with Mrs. Incredible and the kids and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're in the bottom. They're like, oh, we're safe in this cave. And then a fucking fireball comes burning through. It could have just disintegrated the children. Maybe that's what's going to happen to Horak. I mean, he got naked. I guess he's prepared for the heat.
Once entering the shaft, Horak tried his hand at cracking into the big black walls of the shaft. However, even the experienced miner's repetitive swings of a pickaxe couldn't even mark the strange walls. Getting upset with this task, Horak took his rifle and fired 2 shots up at the ceiling of the Moonshaft.
Bang, bang!
Along with a near-deafening ring and the reverberation of the gunshots, there was a unique visual element to the shot as well. As the bullet hit the wall, it exploded with a green sparkle. This may indicate that the Moonshaft was at least partially made of copper.
Are you telling me that this guy got some gunpowder from a creeper, and when he made the explosion, it set off fireworks in the Moonshaft?
No, honestly, I'm pretty sure he got it from Martin and Yurik's ammo and shit, or if his leftover stuff, but I can only think as you'll later learn that Horak has been keeping, as we also just said, Horak's been keeping this a secret, and I can only imagine what Yurik and Martin would think of just if you were to tell him just what have you been doing in the caves? I heard gunshots. Did you get anything? No, but I wanted to know how high this ceiling was and see what would happen if I shoot at these walls. Wait, you haven't been hunting? You're just wasting ammo? What if the Germans come back?
He just walks in and drops Hana's body. It's this is what happened.
Dinner.
Dinner is served.
Why didn't they leave still? I can't get over that. These freaking idiots just leave.
Well, Martin is bleeding out and is in no condition to travel, and Yurik still can't really put too much weight on his leg. His bullet wound is in his upper thigh. He's also losing a lot of blood, but he's more put together.
Why didn't they kill themselves then? What was the point of this survival? For Hana? How lame. These guys were lame.
Perhaps the most important thing discovered in the Moonshaft was in the far right corner. Horak finally found an animal, or at least the remains of one, but instead of some usable meat for Horak, Yurik, and the dying Martin to get some grub on, these remains were nothing more than just bones. Bones that Ted Phillips would later discover belonged to a Ursus spelaeus, a species of cave bear that went extinct a couple of ice ages ago, 25,000 years to be precise.
Who the hell is Ted Phillips?
He's a researcher that we'll be getting to later.
When did he come in the story?
No. We're just introducing him now for later.
He's the guy who spent 38 years trying to get to the bottom of what actually happened in the Moonshaft. He's a pretty notable figure in the history of the Moonshaft after this initial diary entry.
Whether it was morbid curiosity or pure genius, Horak collected the teeth from the skeletal remnants of a prehistoric beast. It would be the only artifact Horak left the cave with, and happened to be the most important piece of evidence to place a date to the origin of the Moonshaft.
We just found a woolly mammoth not that long ago, and now they're all they're, I guess, going through with the whole cloning thing now, so... Welcome to a Jurassic World.
Welcome to Mammoth World.
That's why Jurassic World Dominion still hasn't come out, because they're actually waiting to have the first real-life woolly mammoth in the movie.
Universal finds a way.
That was the best joke all episode. Nick, you gotta get your game up.
The final discovery of this impactful day in the Moonshaft were a series of strange horizontal grooves. According to Horak's diary, these grooves produced not only a comfortable heat on Horak's naked body, they also made a strange, low humming noise. He described it as a low droning noise, like an engine of an aircraft or a large truck.
Jesus Christ. I'm glad the grooves really made him feel warm. I don't believe anything he says. He's like, oh, I felt the warmth against my naked, dehydrated body.
The thing with these like grooves and stuff is that like he noted that also in his diaries that these grooves that were like producing, giving off heat and stuff, that he said that they seemed to be constructed and man-made and that kind of thing. And where this like also with like the strange humming and noises is that, so I don't know, it's like, hey, like honestly, what?
We're putting a lot of trust into some moron's diary from 1944 when he was dying.
Well, compared to the other two, he was like the least injured. He just got knocked on. He just basically got a concussion, if anything.
Once again, if it were me, I would leave.
Later that evening, Slavik brought the boys a fresh piece of meat, his other daughter, Olga, as well as an actual piece of meat, so the soldiers finally had something of sustenance to eat. Despite Horak's recent discoveries in the Moonshaft, he remained very quiet at dinner and made no mention of anything.
I don't know why he even had to come back for dinner. Could have just stayed in the frickin' shaft that kept him warm.
I mean, he'd still be hungry. What is he gonna eat? Rocks? Moon rocks?
I don't know. I thought he was out hunting, Nick.
Like with Horak, he wants to explore the cave. Like he has like probably an actual like an actual like natural curiosity for it, where he's like he has an interest for it, because his family owed radium and lead mines. Only 4 days into living the cave life, Yurik was finally able to put some weight on his leg and could now walk a little bit better. Martin, however, wasn't getting as much out of the meat from a recovery standpoint. The next day, Horak's naked adventures in the Moonshaft were a little less exciting. Horak produced a thick, viscous, warm white substance and spread it on the cave walls and floor.
He spread his smegma on the cave floor.
Hell yeah.
No.
Using some boiling water and bat claws, Horak made a concoction that he hoped would weaken the walls of the Moonshaft so he could take away a chunk as memorabilia. However, this theory failed, but he had another idea.
This guy's focused on a lot of frickin' memorabilia while his two friends are dying outside that he won't just leave.
I mean, why not? Like, would you rather chill with your two dying friends, or I mean, no, maybe they're not friends, but maybe two dying soldier buds, or would you rather go into the cave, find something that's cool, and be like, oh, I want to take this home. Not only the teeth from the cave bear, but also get a piece of this rock to take home and show people. I'd try. I'd want to take a little. It's like, it's kind of like going to a beach and collecting sand, getting sand from a beach of a destination. Be like, hey, this is the sand I got from Malibu.
I'm gonna send you sand in a jar from my backyard and be like, this is from Key West. And you'll be like, no way! And then I'm going to send you the same exact sand from my backyard a few weeks later. And I'm going to be like, this is from Saudi Arabia. And you'll be like, that's so cool!
Horak wanted to find another entrance to the Moonshaft, hoping that somewhere along its crescent shape was a slightly larger hole that he wouldn't have to strip down naked to enter and exit. But this theory also came to no conclusion. That night at camp, near the cave's entrance, Martin had finally passed away from his fatal wounds.
It's about time. Rest in peace, Martin. I'm so sad. Are they just gonna bury him with the bones of the bear or throw him down the shaft? Alright, how's Yurik doing? Let's get an update.
Between Yurik's wounded leg getting stronger and a plot to bury Martin, Horak figured this night might be the final time to visit the Moonshaft. He examined the room one more time, noting that if he came back with stronger tools someday, he could get to the bottom of what this otherworldly craft was. Perhaps out of an act of selfishness, Horak placed a bottle and a piece of belt in the small tunnel he had made naked crawls through the past 6 days and the reflective back of his pocket watch. He then covered the hole with a bunch of rocks so only he would be able to return to the mysterious moon room.
Moon room? I haven't heard that one yet. I like that name.
I mean, I want to say Moonshaft 30,000 times in a, 5,000 word essay.
In his diary, it was still probably written as Moonshaft. He didn't come up with Moon Room.
He wasn't a writer. He was a miner.
Speaking of moon room, you guys remember the moon shoes?
Yeah, that shit was a big disappointment. I'm glad I never bought any.
Once again, that moon sand.
But that moon sand, though.
That moon sand really hit.
And to this day, nearly 80 years later, Horak is the only person to have ever seen the Moonshaft with his two eyes. Between the lack of other witnesses and the fact that Horak's journal wasn't published until 1965, over 20 years later, many believe this whole story is fabricated or a hallucination of the war-torn man trying to make believe a more exciting 6-day stay in a haunted hotel cave.
That's my theory. That's it. Roll credits. Conspiracy over. I believe it. They're right. Whoever said that, whoever said the hallucination, war-torn man, yep, they're right. Good job, Nate.
The story of Horak and the boys does have a somewhat happy ending, unless you're Martin. Yurik's leg, which Horak thought would be a lost cause, healed rather quickly. Yurik used this gift of walking again to sprint at Hana, and then bent on his good knee to propose. I guess he must have made a strong impression on Slavic, because the two were promptly married.
I thought Hana just showed up once or twice, ate some dinner with them, then disappeared. I kind of wish I heard the love story more than I heard the stupid Horak trying to get some more cave rocks. Idiot.
Hey, maybe Yurik was just trying to get some moon cave, you know what I mean?
I would promptly marry the one chick that was there too.
Oh, Olga? Yeah, she seems more your speed.
Wait, who's Olga?
That's his other daughter, the fresh piece of meat.
Wait, what?
Slavic brought 2 daughters to the cave. Hana and Olga.
Wait, since when?
Horak wrote Martin a death certificate and paid Slavic to erect a wooden cross over the mound they laid Martin to rest, right outside the cave.
Well, the other thing is, if they were just going to bury his dead ass there anyway, why didn't they leave in the first place?
They wanted to spend time with Martin, the homie.
He had some good memories there, you know?
Although it seems Horak had full intentions of returning to the cave after the war, Horak saw the writing on Czechoslovakia's wall. He packed his bags and fled for the land of the free and home of the brave, Pueblo, Colorado. Once in America, Anton Horak changed his name to Tony Horak.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Welcome to America, Tony.
Hey, Tony, wanna play Minecraft?
Tony Horak, pro miner.
He did note in his journal he wanted the Moonshaft to be carefully studied by scientists and researchers and not to turn into a tourist attraction. Because, tourists would definitely probably destroy it.
I'm glad his dream came true and nobody gives a shit about the Moonshaft.
Parolski, you don't forget Ted Phillips.
Who?
The man who spent 38 years researching the Moonshaft, based primarily off of Horak's journal.
Good.
Literally off of his journal and just speaking to him, just getting everything he can. Also, Ted Phillips got some of the teeth from him.
I'm so glad that he directed Joker after doing this whole exploration.
I think you're getting Ted Phillips mixed up with Todd Phillips, but I get
the Joker's about Horak.
Okay. He also reluctantly put the most accurate coordinates he could find for the location in his diary.
How the hell did he figure out those coordinates?
Hey, maybe he had a map with him.
He had a lot of shit with him for being stranded in the cave for quite a few days.
Hey, Horak comes prepared, especially when it comes to cave.
I hate these guys. I think the satanic cult members from the last episode I liked more.
A couple of notable theories brought to the table include everything from the Moonshaft being an artifact of aliens or perhaps a more civilized people with advanced technologies, like the popular Atlantis theory.
What?
I know.
Atlantis, like Aquaman by James Wan?
Yes. Well, maybe not like a superhero thing, but yes, Atlantis.
I am so excited for Jason Momoa to appear. All right, continue.
John, I think you might honestly buy into this next theory quite a bit.
Another, more conservative theory states the Moonshaft is a rare but plausible slide. According to modern science, when 2 large pieces of limestone are pushed together by tectonic plates over the course of 1,000 years, they can create a new dark compound often described to have some of the same properties of an earth metal, like copper.
Oh, now I feel bad for Horak because you said he never went back. What if he found a really good copper mine and he could have had a get-rich-quick scheme going on. Martin had the loss of life, but
If he were to get back his radium and lead mines, if he were to realize that was a copper mine, dude, be making bank. Also, fun fact with Yurik and the radium mines, he actually sold the first few of radium to Madame Curie. Fun fact. Another interesting theory is that Horak's diary is nothing more than a tool of propaganda used for the sake of attempting to ease Cold War tensions. As the Iron Curtain of communism was spreading in post-war Eastern Europe, it seemed like Czechoslovakia was a contentious battleground. Being centrally located in Europe, Czechoslovakia was one of the earliest adapters to communism after the war. And with the rise of a communist power comes the rise of a secret police. The Secret State Police, or STB, of Czechoslovakia was known for their fear-mongering campaigns previously.
I like the propaganda theory. They're just like, yo, we have alien ships in Czechoslovakia. Cool, let me join the military.
Some historians believe releasing some pseudoscientific documents like Horak's diary were perfect for the building credibility of the relatively dire country. In 1965, Russia was very vocal about wanting Czechoslovakia as their own, and potentially revealing that they may or may not have had a cool underground UFO or ancient artifact or whatever you believe might help them be a more powerful force than Russia or Western Europe could handle. Not only was it a space race and, Cold War and everything, back then with the Russians and US, it was also the alien race.
Hell yeah. Who can get their asshole probed first?
Space, the last frontier.
Apparently, Russia wasn't persuaded by this potential propaganda campaign as they invaded the country only 3 years later. If you're like Russia or my very skeptical co-host John, you might think this whole diary and story is complete bullshit. And due to the long delay in the publication of Horak's journal and the even longer delay in any further research being done on the mountain range, I wouldn't blame you. But due to Cold War conflicts, the expeditions planned by researchers back in the 1970s, early 1970s, were finally able to happen with the fall of the Berlin Wall. And in 1994, geologist Walter Palvis explored 6 different unexplored caves in the Tatra mountain range. In one of them, he found proof that Horak and his company had actually been in the cave.
Wow.
Some markings on the cave wall right next to the entrance read the letters HA, indicating Horak Antonin, the number 23 for the 23rd of October, the date the gang arrived in the cave, and 6 crossed lines or tally marks to indicate the 6 days spent in the cave. These markings were carved into the wall, likely with either Horak's pickaxe or a knife.
I thought they said that he tried doing that earlier, carving something into the wall.
No. Here's the thing. So this is like the entrance, near the entrance of the cave. Like Horak went deeper into the cave to find the actual Moonshaft.
Oh, and that's where he couldn't cut into anything, was in the Moonshaft part? Oh.
The actual Moonshaft itself was deeper within the cave. This is like near the entrance area, where it's just probably just actual rock. And when they found it, it was literally just covered in crystallization and stuff like that. Along with when they found it, they found bandages and other stuff like that. According to Walter Palvis, this cave had no opening on its rear wall to indicate that Horak had entered the Moonshaft from this specific cave. Now comes the time in our discussion to ask, what do you believe? What about this adds up? What has merit? Well, John, what do you think really went down in the Tatra mountain ranges in the fall of 1944? Is Tony Horak full of shit?
I don't think he's full of shit, but I do think he's an idiot.
I mean, I don't think he's an idiot. I think the thing is with conspiracy theories coming from this, it's just basically just interpretation. I think he's a very credible dude, because he's literally, his family, since he was a young boy and stuff, literally, owned radium and lead mines, and he would explore them. He's a natural explorer. Also, literally with Horak, he literally, I believe, has 4 engineering degrees, and he had 2 business degrees, and he was able to speak seven languages.
Easy to get some degrees back in the day, I guess.
He's a very smart dude, and I think he has credibility to what he found, but I think when it comes to the whole everything else after, whether it's alien stuff or whether it could be, it's just honestly up to interpretation. Writing down what he specifically found didn't really have, because he didn't have anything to where it was him saying it was aliens. Honestly, I think it could actually open up to the idea of maybe something there. And with the theories I had is actually is a mix. Because when Ted Phillips went over there, he took so much time to find it. He was able to later find it within his final expedition. And when he found it, the cave Horak and them were in, but didn't find the specific moon cave. And when he was exploring around the area, he found that within a specific circular area, it would basically drain the batteries of the of like all of the electronic equipment. And what he would do is,
Oh, spooky area.
but what he would do is actually he used his compass to basically figure out that there was like an electronic pulse like within the area, within this like 25-foot like circular area, and realized it was like a pulse every 2 seconds. A Russian, like, you know, also within the area discovered like the same thing, in that they went back through manuscripts like decades and decades ago, and hold on, in my notes I have it at like, I believe 1663.
Horak never mentioned a UFO though, right?
No. Horak never mentioned it, because when he found that groove area, he specifically said that was an area thought like very highly that it was man-made and constructed, that it wasn't like a natural like phenomena or a natural making of the cave or whatever, and that kind of thing.
But they haven't been able to find it again.
No, because here's the thing too with why they couldn't find it again. Because so Horak hid the entrance to the cave. He literally hid it with small rocks. That's one.
So 40 years later, you can't move a bunch of small rocks and get into the cave?
That's part of it, but the thing is that like also during that time, like after the Russians took over, they would literally do bombing exercises within the mountains. So basically there was a ton of like bouldering to where like a ton of rocks and shit from the ceiling just crashed from the top of it and literally just probably just shook and just like kind of destroyed the interior of the cave.
Didn't they bury Martin outside of the cave?
When Ted Phillips interviewed Horak, he said Martin was buried in an enclave. I believe it's just buried under rocks, just buried. Where he was buried, there was also like Ted Phillips said there was like a marking of M, marking of where Martin was buried, as well as they found initials of the other members there, along with basically like markings of how long they stayed there, and that kind of thing.
Where's Martin's body?
It's likely there under the rocks, probably skeletalized by now would be my guess.
My point is, if they're trying to prove this at all, why can't they just go and dig him up?
Even though he studied it for 38 years, he's only been there, I can't remember how many times, but, and like, it literally had to get funding from like different people. Like, also like fun fact, I thought this was cool, is that when he did his first expedition to find the Moonshaft caves, he literally got funding from Jackie Gleason, the comedian.
Because he thought it was a joke.
Well, Parolski literally, like, because Ted Phillips brought this a lot, like, within his different lectures, is that, like, with literally getting to, like, that mountain range area, the best way to get to it is by helicopter. Like, if you walk it, it's like a 4 to 7 hour walk, so don't really want to do that, or it's just a very hard, treacherous journey to do that, but it just depends on, like, what the return is, because again, like, even though they're going off of what Horak said, like, there's nothing definitive of whether if it's like a UFO or because honestly, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it could be a natural phenomena of like just the Earth creating something, that kind of thing, like over thousands of years ago. Ted Phillips interviewed Horak. It wasn't just Ted Parolski. It was also another specific. This is why I think it's aliens or something possibly related to aliens, because this is the one key person to where it's like possibly aliens. J. Allen Hynek. Do you know who J. Allen Hynek is?
No.
And if you guys don't know what Project Blue Book is, it was in the 50s to, I know, at least 69.
Yeah, 1953 to 1969. A 16-year-long government-funded alien initiative, or UFO phenomenon initiative.
Like, literally, in that time, like, the government was looking into people's, like, witness testimonies and just everything regarding alien abductions, alien UFO sightings, and everything like that, just to get as much information as possible. And for someone like Hynek, I think, to contact Urich, and with like in this like after the journal entry, like putting, because here's the thing, this is in 60, so he published in 65, like 12-13 years after Project Blue Book started. A scientific advisor on the Project Blue Book team reads of this journal, like, to then be like, okay, to then not only that, but realize that this has possibly some merit to possibly investigate and could have some kind of scientific value to it. Not only that, with Ted Phillips, he was hired by Hynek to basically investigate like stuff regarding UFOs and regarding to traces by UFOs, and like what, like, you know, traces it would be in regarding to like the physical makeup and stuff like that it would leave and stuff, and traits and stuff like that.
Hynek was essentially the lead investigator for Project Blue Book for Close Encounters of the Second Kind, which is contacts with UFOs and the Earth. Anytime a UFO would leave a crash, a physical accident, any contact with the planet, that was this guy's job. That's what this guy was paid to do by the government, was to investigate any close encounter of the second kind.
So if he's being paid to do this, what makes you say he just didn't want to add on to that propaganda theory?
He just saw it as something that could be potentially something to investigate, like 12, 13 years after he's literally been a part of the team. So like I don't think he has, unless he's trying to figure out a way to get out and try to make more money from government shit or something like that, or
Sell it to the Russians.
I think that can play a part as well with the Cold War, because I'm pretty sure at that time, like maybe I honestly I wonder if the Russians had their own like UFO alien kind of program as well, and just trying to get as much technology to where like they would each be trying to overtake the other side, and just trying to, not only the idea with aliens and stuff, but when Horak was in the to me it's like the far out theory again, I think is the hollow earth theory, because the only reason I think that is because he said he heard whispers and that kind of thing. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it's as far out with the Moonshaft itself being a possibly crashed UFO, because again it's like who knows how old the thing is. Also the thing is like with with it as well is that, like, I always thought was the very interesting thing as well is that he never knew how high the ceiling was. Like, he was able to figure out the measurements of everything else within it, but never knew how high the ceiling was. And
But we also can't really take into account his accuracy of those measurements of that place that was never discovered.
Wait, I mean, why not? Like, because to me, I think like
because they can't find the Moonshaft, so all his measurements could just all be wrong.
I mean, there's a difference, I think, between finding the Moonshaft and then like understanding the measurements. Because what I would say is that
some guy who may have had a concussion in the middle of World War II was measuring with dropping a piece of limestone how far deep it could be.
But with him, he was measuring the Moonshaft over time. It's not like he measured it like all within the first day, because he found, I believe, the Moonshaft within the first time being there.
6 days, I don't think is enough experiment time to be able to measure how a cave looks and the distances.
I think, yeah, we should take it with a grain of salt, but the reason why I think it's taken into consideration of what he wrote down in his journal regarding his measurements and his drawings and stuff is the fact that literally he has four degrees in engineering and regarding math and just everything like that, as well as understanding how things are created and made, as well as the idea that like he's grown up within lead mines and radium mines to where he understands caverns and exploring caves and like materials. I'm not trying to say like everything he has in there is like, you know, truth and real or whatever, like because again, like even what Nate said, like all he had was a torch. So like, you know, the fact of like lack of lighting and like also lack of material might for what he had at the time probably couldn't like maybe break what was there. I don't know if it would be.
That makes it seem even less accurate to me now, you bringing that point up.
What part?
The lighting and the torch. Like, also this is the same guy, if we're talking about him measuring distance from throwing limestone down a shaft, and he could hear it, and that's how he can measure it. This is the same guy who said he's just listening to ringing against a curved wall.
I mean, that was after he shot at the wall.
Oh, the bullet theory comes back into account.
But with Horak himself, I don't think, with everything he wrote down, I don't think he just wrote this like for the fact of just trying to make a cool story over his 6th day in the cave. And if he did, honestly, damn, like he just pulled a good, like he just punked like a lot of people over the course of like what, 80 years.
I still think he made himself sound kind of like an idiot. I would have left those other guys behind. Like, think of the situation they were in, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go explore this cave.
Horak's a buddy. He'll stay there for the boys.
He wasn't, though. He was getting away from them to explore the cave. He didn't give a shit about them.
Say anything? I don't know. The only thing I wonder is just why he never said anything about going deep within the caves to Yurik or Martin. No, because I was going to say, I can understand why he wouldn't tell Slavic, because literally it's kind of like a parent saying don't do this and then you do it anyway, but you don't want to tell the parent to not get in trouble. I can understand not telling Slavic because, you know, don't want to get in trouble by the guy who told you not to and that kind of shit. You don't know what's going to happen. But I never understood why he never told Yurik. The only thing I can think of is just for the fact of probably, like, honestly, probably Yurik and Martin would probably act the way you're acting right now, to where it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? It's just a goddamn cave. Why are you firing bullets into the fucking wall, bro?
Yeah, let's waste our ammo. This guy's a commander, and he's like, I'm gonna explore this cave in the middle of World War II. I'm glad that Horak wasn't like, bro, I found a UFO. You know, he was like, I found a cool cave. There's some green pretty lights and warm areas, you know. Also, Walter could just frick off with his whole, batteries. My batteries ran out.
It was Ted. It was Ted, sir. It was Ted Phillips.
Ted went there?
It was Ted went there as well. It was Ted and Walter. It was Ted and Walter.
Same thing. Can't the tectonic plates shift the magnetic field? I mean, the way you were describing it, Nick, I really got EMP type of vibes, and I don't think it was EMP type. I feel like it was just definitely the magnetic field. Also, going into caves and in mountainous areas, the magnetic field always gets jacked up. You know, compasses always get jacked up in those types of situations.
He was saying as well that that he believes there's other moon shafts with like around the Earth and stuff like that. I think he said there's like he was saying how there's possibly one in Romania and then another somewhere else, but like not only just the moon shafts, but other places around the world as well, where it has like that EMP kind of situation. I always thought that was interesting, where it's like if it's something UFO to where it's something to where like a UFO has the idea of like giving off an EMP kind of idea. I just thought that would be interesting.
Well, I guess that's our alien episode.
It was a great one as well. We're going to have more where that came from. Thank you for listening. If you want to hear more of this kind of content or watch my new horror short films, subscribe to the Scary Box on YouTube. You can also follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Every week of October, we will be giving you more bone-chilling episodes leading up to our Halloween special, and stay tuned as later this year we will be starting Season 1 of the Scary Box podcast. Until next time, stay scary, my friends.
I hate that.
Hey, I thought this was a good episode.
I'm cutting. I'm not your friend anymore. Go away.
That's okay. I gotta take a piss. Good episode, though.